I watch a lot of Pokemon content creators on YouTube, and I always love the various challenges and runs that they do. I've attempted to do a few Pokemon solo challenges myself in the past, but for various reasons I didn't complete them or didn't get around to editing the videos. While I was collecting footage for my last video on Pallet fields, link somewhere on screen, I asked myself, is it possible to use the Walk Through Walls Gameshark code to complete the game without any Pokemon? Sounds easy, right? I loaded up Pokemon Blue, put in my name and that of my fierce rival sub, last name Scribe, then immediately entered the relevant Gameshark code to walk through walls. Now my initial intention was to just walk to Viridian and through to Victory Road and past the Elite Four. I soon found out, however, that this wasn't possible. Attempting to walk north as normal triggered the Professor Oak event where he takes you to his lab to choose your Pokemon. Obviously we don't want to do that. I know, I'll walk around the path to Route 1 and bypass the event. Ah, bugger. It looks like Professor Oak finds you even if you try hopping the fence. An interesting thing I noted is that if you trigger the event while on a fence or wall tile, Oak is unable to walk off screen properly and loops from one side of the window to the other, slowly moving downwards as he does. I let this play out, hoping that the event would release us when Oak left the screen from the bottom, but instead we started getting garbled mess pop up. I'm going to need to rethink this. Okay, I'll instead try going around the long way, south to Cinnabar, and then through the rest of the map. It looks like we can avoid the Professor Oak event this way, but how will the game react to battles? We don't have any Pokemon and the game is expecting something to go out when a battle occurs. How will it handle this? Walking in the patch of grass immediately south of Pallet Town, we soon find out. The battle appears to start normally, however we can see that something's off. The wild Pokemon has no name and part of the border of the text window is cut off. That's not too bad. However, as we proceed with the battle we see more oddities. The wild Pidgeotto's name bar is now a bunch of repeating textures and its health bar goes off the screen and wraps around underneath, cutting into the Pokemon sprite. I also noticed that the game music slowly fades away as the battle initiates. As our Pokemon is sent out, the game simply says go, as I assume the required variable for the Pokemon's name is blank. I noticed that whatever we have, or whatever the game thinks we have, it's at level 12 with 80 out of 57 health. Nice. Our Pokemon sprite is a jumbled mess, reminiscent of the famous Missing No image. So, what moves do we have? Just the one, no name move, which happens to be Cool Trainer Female. I'll try to use this move, but we instead use Pound. I wonder if the game engine is programmed to use Pound by default if there's no move data being put forward. I'll try to flee from the battle, but the game just freezes on a blank screen. It's not crashed properly, as I'm able to rewind in my emulator and go back to a state before the battle occurred. Odd. Anyway, we must press on. In an effort to avoid wild Pokemon battles, I'm going to walk along the map wall on Route 21 until I reach Cinnabar Island. Once here, I accidentally trigger another game event by walking past the door of the gym. I'm told that the door is locked and it then forces me to walk south with no way to stop the walking animation. I appear to be stuck in this cycle. I'm unsure if this is because of the Walk Through Walls code, or because I don't have any Pokemon in an area which is otherwise expecting it. I rewind again to get out of this loop and decide to visit the Pokemon Center, this time carefully avoiding the gym door. I try to heal my non-existent Pokemon, but instead of telling me to make like a tree and leave, Nurse Joy forges ahead and does her best anyway. Never let anybody tell you that our healthcare workers aren't doing a good job. So the machine fills up with 6 Pokeballs, but instead of initiating the healing noise and closing the event at the 6th ball, it continues to play the Pokeball placement sound and starts filling the screen up with more random textures. I'll let this play out until it fills the screen, but it doesn't appear to end. I'll try to rewind out of this loop, but I can't rewind back enough to a point before it started, so I'm going to have to do a hard reset. Before we leave Cinnabar, I wonder to myself if I can avoid wild Pokemon battles by using repels. Seems like an innocent enough proposition. I'll go into the Pokemart and buy 4 max repels. I exit and then get stuck in another downward walking cycle that I can't stop. I'll try this a few more times, but each time I exit the Pokémart, I get stuck. I'm not sure why it does this. Some combination of having the Gameshark code on and exiting a building? Not sure. No repels for me then, it seems. I walk along the southern wall tiles of routes 20 and 19, and halfway through I realise that I haven't yet tried a trainer battle. I'll do a safety save and try battling this swimmer dude on route 19. Now, I should have known that something was up by the way that he looked. Just a jumbled up sprite texture, but hey, I'm not going to judge somebody else's dress sense. This battle starts out more normally than the wild Pidgeotto earlier on. The swimmer sends out a Goldeen, which has a name and a correctly rendered health bar. I, however, still send out a no-named messy random texture with a blank named move of the cool trainer female type. However, the PP amount shown this time is different. Upon trying to use this move, however, the game crashes hard. I can't rewind out of this one. So I reset and I'll carry on. I'll go north to Fuchsia and note that most of the NPCs here have messed up sprite textures. I walk into the otherwise inaccessible animal enclosures and speak to the captive Pokemon. Each of them simply says an exclamation mark. I think they're onto us. I'll try walking above the Safari Zone entrance building, but suffer another hard crash. I exit town and go west to the cycling road. The guard berates me for not having a bicycle. I'm not sure what to tell you here. Weirdly, this seems to remove the effects of the walk-through walls Gameshark code. I'll try exiting, but I can no longer move anywhere. It's like the event just turned it off. Weird. I'll turn it back on, and now I can't enter the cycle building at all. Whatever, I've got places to go, so I'll just walk on top of the building and into Cycling Road directly. There's not much to report here, except that because you're only normally allowed here while riding a bicycle, the game doesn't check while you're in the route outside of the guard building. Once in, it doesn't force you to get on a bike, whether you have one or not. In addition, the game is applying a downward movement to your player, regardless of being on a bike or not when travelling along the route. Cool. So next we end up in Celadon City. I initially didn't think there was anything worth checking out here, but I did come back and check whether we can access the Rocket hideout in the game corner without pressing the button behind the poster. I tried walking on the space in the wall where the stairs pop up once you press the button, but it appears that instead of merely being hidden, the exit tile itself doesn't exist until you press the button. I did confirm that we can press the button without fighting the Rocket Grunt by facing it either from above or from the side. Saffron City, there's not much to report. I had to walk over the guardhouse on Route 7 as I couldn't exit the interior without crashing. From here, I'll just walk straight up to Cerulean City. As I was expecting, the rival battle on Nugget Bridge is triggered, despite not having gotten the first gym badge or any Pokemon for that matter. The battle itself eventually crashes like the previous attempts, so I'm just going to go around and skip it. I've travelled up to Bill's house and now's a good time to check out the rumour that he has a secret garden filled with Eevees and other wonderful nonsense behind his house. Well, if he does, you can't reach it by walking through walls. On the way out, I do note however that you can bypass this guy blocking your way to Cerulean Cave by just walking into the entrance from above. There's nothing interesting we can explore while inside though, just Mewtwo. Loner. Walking west along Route 4, I initially thought I'd have to go through Mount Moon to get to Route 3. However, I found out that you can literally just walk over this ridge and you're in Route 3. I didn't think that the two routes were connected like that, but apparently so. The lad who normally stops you from entering Route 3 until you beat Brock is still here, and we can trigger him by walking in from his right. However, possibly due to us being in a different position than expected, he does a similar trick to Professor Oak and walks off screen without us, loops around a couple of times, and we end up stuck in a loop. We finally make it to Viridian from above. What a ball ache that was. The old man who normally blocks our path is still here. He tells us off as usual and sends us on our way. Nothing else to report. So it's now that we can actually do what I wanted to do all the way back in Pallet Town and see if we can walk through Victory Road and into the Elite Four. I make my way across Route 22 expecting to trigger the second rival battle, but surprisingly that event isn't configured yet without any Pokemon. I walk into the Victory Road building as normal and walk past the first guard, no problem. I don't have any luck with the second guard however. He tells me to get bent because I don't have the second badge. I try to walk around him and over walls, however I either crash out of bounds or trigger the guard and he sends me back. He seems to have an unlimited hitbox for checking the badges. Okay, this might be a problem. I instead exit back to Route 22 and try walking straight up. I encounter a bunch of garbled textures and trigger the guard who checks for the Earth badge. This appears more difficult than I imagined. Okay, so I'm going to try walking up from the Victory Road building off to the side. And I do eventually manage to find my way through the nonsense tiles to the entrance tile for the end of Victory Road, where we go into Indigo Plateau. I genuinely have no idea how I did this outside of sheer dumb luck. Anyway, we're now in Indigo Plateau. I figure, while I'm here, I might try accessing the link cable, trade and battle area behind the lady here. However, the doors don't appear to be exit tiles. I'm guessing the transition to the battle and trade areas only occur when you speak to the woman. You can't just walk into them. Okay, so now it's time to try and make my way past the Elite Four. I walk in as normal and encounter the same walking loop issue I've seen before. I walk straight up to the top of the room and I can't move or otherwise stop walking. I try a few more times and eventually it does let me in normally. I'm not sure what changed. I try walking on top of the door behind Will. However, there's no scene transition, there is no exit tile. I suspect that the exit doesn't exist until you defeat Will. It's not just that they're hidden behind a tile. Bugger. I'll try walking outside of bounds from this room, but the next Elite Four room doesn't appear to be connected. I'll try to exit and go back to the Indigo Plateau entrance, but no dice. I can't think of anything else that we can do to make progress here. I'm aware that using memory corruption you can glitch straight into the Hall of Fame room, but I wanted to try and do it by walking through walls directly into the room. Unless the map area for the Hall of Fame room is accessible via some other means, I don't think this is going to happen. I think we're going to have to concede and say that no, you can't finish a game of Pokemon Red and Blue without any Pokemon using the Gameshark code for walking through walls. At least not that I can see. Well, that was a nice little experiment in doing some stupid things in Pokemon again. I always wanted to see just how far you could go by walking through walls and avoiding events back when I was a kid, when I had a Game Boy and these games originally. Unfortunately, I never had a Gameshark or Action Replay cartridge when I was a kid, so I never got the chance until the modern day with emulators when it was a lot easier to do. I'd love to hear from anybody else that has ideas on how we might be able to get past the Elite Four member and potentially make progress to the Hall of Fame room. It might be possible, but again, I'm coming up blank. If you liked this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you loved it, why not subscribe so you don't miss the next retro game thing that I do. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.